Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today I have a breakup story that just came into writemac.com. If you want to send your story in, send it in. And the story is basically a long-distance relationship. I haven't read it all the way through, but breakups happen. She's contemplating no contact. She's got that urge to contact them back, but wants to get some tailored advice, get my opinion on it, so I'm going to break it down right now. If you like this video, throw it a like. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. Let's get into it. All right. I was in a long-distance relationship for 8 months. I am 27. He is 31. It was very intense. Let me drop this music. It was very intense, and he seemed to be completely enamored by me. Well, that's a good start. Feels good to be enamored, right? Enamored with or by. So you got a good age range there. You're 27. He's 31. I live in New Zealand. Kiwi, huh? I'd love to go to New Zealand. Seems like a beautiful place. And he lived in the UK, but is originally from the US. Well, don't hold that against him. He had a 1-month leave planned in August. September, we planned that he would visit his family in the States for 2 weeks and come to see me for the remaining 2 weeks. So you got some plans here? Okay, so you're long distance for 8 months. So let me just rewind. You might have heard my take on this. Long distance has an expiration date if you don't have a plan to eventually live in each other's city. If things are going really well, that's how it should be, because to carry the torch in a long-distance relationship, things need to be rose petals and wine glasses. It needs to be absolute fireworks, right? Okay? But eventually, sometimes if the distance gets too long for too long a time, it starts to wane out, okay? He paid for his ticket, which was about $2,000 plus, and he even paid for his visa a week before he was supposed to leave. So he's got some money, as I'm stuttering here, money invested in the situation, right? Which makes a difference. It shows you commitment. It shows you that this is really important to him to spend over $2,000, right? I noticed he was being distant weeks before he landed in the U.S., but let it slide given our meeting was so soon. When he arrived in the U.S., he was even more distant, texting irregularly and not calling me once. Okay, so this is the thing about long distance. Something comes up and you're like, wow, you changed. But let me just tell you this. Even if you were in an 8-month relationship and you lived in the same city or town and you're kind of getting to know each other and you didn't live together yet and you kind of have your life going and he has his life going with work or what have you, you're still getting to know that person, and that person can still do something like this where they become distant or things are off because you really don't know them as well as you do, a year and a half, 2 years down the road. So when he arrived in the U.S., he was even more distant, texting irregularly, not calling me once. I wanted to let it slide and address it when he arrived, but eventually I had enough and asked if things were okay. Well, I'd say, why would you want to let it slide? And I don't know if that's the right language to use. Just be direct and go, hey, what's going on? Did I miss something? I just feel like something's distant. I was just talking to someone about this recently, and women tend to hint. They like to be less direct, and they like to feel like, well, you should know. But a lot of men don't, especially masculine men, military men, okay? I'm not saying he's in the military, but I'm just giving you an example. It's fee, fi, fo. It's like, tell me what's going on. So just ask him, hey, am I missing something here or is something off? And if he says, no, there's nothing, or if he says, well, actually, then have a conversation about it. Don't assume something's off. Ask him a direct question related to it. He reassured me that nothing had changed. On his end, a few hours later, I got a text with him asking to talk on the phone. He explained that he was having family issues and that he wasn't in the headspace to come to New Zealand. All right, bottom line, that's a fair thing, a fair reason. It's quite possible that's true. The first question would be, did you believe him? That's important, because if you don't believe him, you're going to have friction. I told him that if he wasn't going to come, that we shouldn't continue as I can't see any progression in the relationship. He responded by saying, if that's how you feel, then okay. I was hurt by his indifference and don't know what happened. Okay, great. Outstanding that you sent this story. I'm going to give you my take, and I'm going to tell you something that I feel like was a little insensitive on your end. So you feel like something's off, something's wrong. He spent some money. It's been rose petals and wine glasses. It's been outstanding. Okay. And then he explains to you that he's having family issues and he wasn't in the right headspace. This was the first time I heard about his family issues. I didn't buy his excuse. Why didn't you buy the excuse? A better approach would have been, what's the family issues? Like, what's going on? What? Let's talk about it. I want to be there for you. I want to hear a little bit more about it. But if you can't believe him and you don't have trust in a long-distance relationship, then yes, the relationship isn't going to work. And what led you to believe that it was an excuse? The tone or the fact that you were just disappointed so you didn't want to believe it? And this is the thing about family issues. If you don't have a whole lot of family issues in your own life or a relatable family issue to his, sometimes it's hard to be empathetic or compassionate. So that's also the case. And if you were really excited to see him and you're like, that can't be it. That can't be it. Ask a few more questions. It might quite possibly really be his real reason. And if it really was his real reason and you're sitting there going, well, if you really can't come, then just forget about the relationship, then he's going to say, wow, if you can't be empathetic when I have family issues and be more understanding and a little more caring, then maybe I should bail on the relationship. I went no contact with him immediately, and we haven't spoken since. So so just really quick, when you went no contact, what was your intention? To get his attention? Did you watch a video and go, because him saying that he can't come visit you because he has family issues, to me, is a viable reason to not come. I'm so confused at what happened. Why did he switch up so quickly? So why are you confused when he told you he had family issues? Why don't you believe him? Why isn't that enough of a reason for him to put off his trip? That would be my question. Because why are you confused? Because he told you his reason, you just didn't accept it. I suspect he met someone else in the U.S. and decided he wasn't that interested in me anymore. I suspect means I don't know. If you suspect that, ask him. Hey, just want to ask you, is this really a family issue or did you meet someone else? Now, it's a little bit insecure on your end, but at the same time, it's better off asking the question directly, looking into his eyes and seeing how he reacts than saying, I suspect. My other question would be like, did you have someone cheat on you before? Do you have a little bit of an insecurity where you filter for this kind of a thing more? I suspect this because he was always online but not responding to me on time. All right. Very good that you wrote your story out. If you're going to be in long distance and you're in different time zones, this comes up a lot. Oh, they're online, but they're not responding fast enough. They could be doing something with work. They could be talking to their mom. They could be talking to a colleague. And you're thinking, well, why aren't they responding to me right now? So if you're going to have an issue with timeliness in response to questions or texts, then long distance isn't going to work for you in a relationship. There has to be some patience and some trust, right? This idea that you're not responded to on your time, it's going to be an issue long distance, like I said, especially when you're in different time zones. Even if he met someone in the 1 week he was in the States, after all the energy and time put into our relationship, wouldn't he just come to New Zealand to give it a shot? Again, if he says, hey, I got some family issues, I'm not in the right headspace, why don't you believe him? Why don't you ask him more questions about the family issues? And here's the thing, like I said, maybe the family issue that he mentioned, you're like, that's not a reason not to come. It is for him. He was the one pursuing me, and I'm sure he had feelings for me at some stage. Well, if he bought a ticket and he wanted a visa and he was going to come abroad, I think he did too. I think the fact that you weren't understanding or believing him about his family issues had him pull the plug too. Because for example, if that was me, I have a long distance relationship going with you, things are really well. I honestly have a family issue where I feel like I'm not in the right headspace. I don't want to make this trip. I'm not going to be present with you, and I'm really worried about this family member or issue. And you respond by saying, you know what, if you don't come, just forget about us because I'm not going to say it, but I suspect you're seeing someone else. I'd be done with you because I would say, wow, we don't have any trust. Like, I'm telling you I have a family problem. You don't believe me? He called me every day, texted every day, FaceTime every other day. I felt our relationship was headed in a serious direction. Yeah, but there's timing and circumstances. Family issue got in the way. What do you think motivated his decision to essentially end things? You didn't believe him that he had a family issue. Now, you might be correct. There's a possibility he's seeing someone else. But if you're going to have a relationship 8 months in, you got to give someone the benefit of the doubt or ask them more direct questions. Hey, just want to ask you one thing. Are you seeing someone else? And he answers, no. I actually really have this issue with my sister. She's been in the hospital for 8 weeks. I'm really worried about it. I officially ended it, but I still feel broken up because his decision not to come was going to end the relationship anyway. The problem, the core of this, is you couldn't accept his reason not to come. He didn't just not come for any reason. He had family issues. I'm really struggling to process this. I'm fighting every urge to reach out, and some part of me wonders if he will regret his decision. The elephant in the room is, what was the family issue, and why don't you believe him? If you do reach out, ask him specifically, were you seeing someone else, or did you really have a family issue? And that'll be your discovery mission. But he also might be offended by the fact that you didn't believe him, and that's why he's done. Trust is paramount in any relationship. It's even stronger in a long-distance relationship. I keep wondering if he was even serious, but it doesn't make sense. Why would he be back at the last minute? Why would he back out at the last minute? Okay, again, seems like you're not a very good listener. He said that he has family issues. Why isn't that enough for you? If you want to book a live coaching session, get a little deeper in this, maybe go down a couple more rabbit holes, book a session at rightmac.com. Otherwise, I wish you all the best.